Hello, everyone, PWI family. Welcome to another episode of FaceTurn with Candace Cordelia. I'm your host, Candace Cordelia, and I'm so happy to have you here today for our special series. We are just rolling through season 3, and we're kicking things off with another series about wrestling managers. It's a topic of mine that I'm personally very enamored with, and I love learning about wrestling managers. I love meeting new wrestling managers, and I have a special one here for you today. You may recognize him currently on OVW television. His household production seems to be taking over in that promotion. And I am so happy to have Your Howse here today before he just blows up and you'll see more of him. But we're going to get into wrestling managers, his journey, the process of management, and talk more to him today. Hi, Your Howse. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing well. Happy to be on here.
Oh, we're happy to have you. This is fantastic. I am so lucky to have you because I have a feeling that you're going to be a wrestling manager that we are going to hear more about as time goes on. So I had to grab you and snatch you up before there's an opportunity where I have to be waiting in line. But, thank you so very much for being here. There's a lot of really cool things happening with you, especially in OVW. And I haven't gotten a chance to talk to many OVW folks yet. So you're one of the lucky few so far. But, first and foremost, before we get into that, I would like to know how wrestling became a part of your life. How did this journey start for you?
That's a real interesting question because, I feel like a lot of us start out in professional wrestling the same way, at least from my experience, and that's just seeing somebody else's enjoyment of professional wrestling, and then you're kind of like, hey, what's this? What is that? And that's kind of the same way with me. I would see my brother watching it, and I just kind of took an interest to it, and it really stuck with me, and it stuck with me throughout the years of my life as a young child, as a teenager, and now even still as an adult. Professional wrestling is still very much a big part of my life. So, I mean, really, it kind of started for me, honestly, with WCW. A lot of people credit WWE, WWF as where they started and saw a lot of their first exposure to professional wrestling. But for me, it was WCW. And it was during that time in the mid 90s when you had guys like Goldberg, you had guys like Diamond Dallas Page, Sting, the NWO, but then you also had guys like Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho early on in his career, and Eddie Guerrero, and just that, of course, that cruiserweight division there. So a lot of my early exposure to professional wrestling actually came from WCW.
You're right. I don't think the many guests that I've had on this show, very few have mentioned, if at all, WCW. So that's quite fascinating. And, you're going from being a wrestling fan, as you stated, and watching a lot of WCW on television. What was the moment in which you decided you wanted yourself to be a part of the industry and thought that it was actually possible to do so?
For me, it started later in my life. It started back in 2019. I don't like to put an age on myself, but I'm 35. But I started late in life. Did the family thing, got, everything, got it up out the mud, just getting my life together and getting things straight. A lot of my experience on the stage really came with doing music and being a hip hop artist. But it all started really in 2019 when I started this podcast. And it started as like a video show, and I would just review wrestling. And I also did some things with wrestling with writing with NoDQ.com. I was a columnist for NoDQ.com for a little bit. But as far as this particular journey, it started in 2019 when my brother, who, like I said earlier in the conversation, introduced me to wrestling. He was like, man, all you do is talk about wrestling. I went out to LA and I visited him for the first time in a long time. And we just caught up, and a lot of the conversation ended up being about wrestling. And and he said, you still talk a lot about wrestling, just like you did when you was young. Why don't you start a podcast? And I told him I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, I would have no idea where to start. Like, I record music, but I don't know I wouldn't know how to start a podcast or anything like that. So he gave me all the information, gave me all the tools, and so I started this podcast back in February of 2019, and it's called In Your Howse, HOWSE, just like my last name. And it just really started taking off. A lot of people just like hearing our takes on wrestling. We started with doing like reviews on NXT and WWE and things of that nature. Then we started doing special edition episodes. Then we started getting guests, which really took us to a different level. And when you start getting guests, you start building those personal relationships with those people that you're talking to, those people that you are interviewing and tapping into who they are as a performer, as an individual, as a person. And so you start to build those relationships. And as you build those relationships, there came an opportunity for me to do commentary for one of my local promotions. And I when I first started doing it, I was just interviewing wrestlers. So just the concept of going backstage was just awesome. It was a cool experience. I'm like, oh, I get to be here. Even it was just in my hometown, my local town. And I got asked to do commentary. So I'm the type of person that if you're asking me to do something, I want to tap into that character. I want to tap into whatever it is. So when I started commentating, I started studying other commentators. I started making sure I knew the moves, started understanding the difference between color commentary and play-by-play and things of that nature. And I just took it seriously, you know? And as I was doing commentary, it just started taking off for me. Other promotions were starting to hear my work, and people just started contacting me to do commentary work. And that's really how I started how I broke into the business, is doing commentary.
Wow. Very, very cool. You know, one thing I want to go back to the NoDQ.com work that you used to do. And in being a journalist and being in the media, which I can relate to working for PWI, did you find that experience kind of shaped your way of thinking much differently in terms of being a part of the wrestling industry as a manager and as a commentator versus had you not done any writing for NoDQ.com? How do you feel that shaped who you are as a creative person?
I really feel like that experience, because I love writing. That experience really helped me out to understand wrestling from more than just a fan's perspective. I think that it helped me kind of understand how some things play out in professional wrestling that a fan might not understand, as opposed to somebody that has a little bit more, and not to insult our fans out here or anything like that, but somebody who has a little bit more know-how of how things happen backstage in the professional wrestling industry.
And that's very important. That's very important to state, especially now in 2022, where there's so many things happening. We see a lot of things on social media and lines blur a bit. And you need to know the differences and the nuances between what's actually happening backstage. At least that's my opinion. Backstage versus, what's not happening backstage, what you're seeing on the forefront on your television screen or laptop phone, however you watch wrestling. So having said all of that, how did you exactly become a wrestling manager?
That is also an interesting question. The reason I say that is because I am a type of person that when I get into a conversation, I love to talk. I am a talker. I enjoy it. I consider myself to be a conversationalist, and I enjoy it. I enjoy picking people's brains. I enjoy giving my thoughts, getting thoughts back. I just enjoy the process. With that being said, I'm a talker. So because I was doing commentary, and it was in a promotion in Muncie, Indiana called DCCW, I was doing commentary there, and there was a shift happening in that promotion. When I came there, they were moving towards looking at some different talent, bringing in some fresher names, and doing something different, because I think that at that point the audience had kind of seen the regular talent a lot, and they were ready to do something different. So the promoter brought in a talent by the name of Sam Knight, and he is from the same area as me. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. He's also as well from like the Crenshaw area, and he would just happen to be in Muncie, Indiana, and I was there too. And you meet a lot of different electric people through the professional wrestling business, because it's just so many different personalities. And to me, that's one of the things that's really cool about it, is I get to meet all these interesting people. And he was an interesting person to me, and he felt that I too was an interesting person. And so I've been wanting to manage, because I enjoy the role of a manager. I really study Bobby Heenan a lot, Jimmy Hart, a lot of those names. Some Slick. I studied some Slick. Definitely like Paul Heyman. Huge fan of Paul Heyman's work. I mean, obviously, Stokely Hathaway. I like Stokely Hathaway a whole lot. I really thoroughly enjoy his work. And I already know. I gotta plug Pollo Del Mar. Pollo. I gotta give Pollo some love. Pollo's doing excellent work. So I've always been interested in the role of manager. And so I just asked him backstage at a show, and I was like, hey, I'm really interested in managing. And I think me and you, like, we're on a level where I can ask you, like, hey, let's just try something, like, you would you like if I would be your manager? I want to try this thing. And so he was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's just try it. Let's just do it. So we did it. And when we went out there in front of that crowd of 50 to 100 people, it just worked. And like, I got a chance to get on the mic and tell a story and put him over, which I'm sure we'll get to that, as far as the role of a manager and whatnot, and what it needs to do and what it needs to be in order to be successful. But it just worked. And that's kind of how it all got started there, because he started taking me to different shows. And I think it speaks a lot to hopping in cars. You'll probably hear that a lot from talents, from wrestlers, how beneficial hopping in cars is. And that's kind of what it was, where he was just putting me on to these different promotions, and we just started to gel and it started to work. And yeah, that's how it all started with management there.
Wow. Well, let's dive right into the process and the mystery behind being a wrestling manager, because we talk a lot about the wrestlers, and we, as far as I'm concerned, I feel like we need to talk more also about the managers, because you mentioned a lot of legendary managers that we've seen over the years, hyping up their clients, hyping up the talent that we see working in the ring. But the role of the manager is exceedingly important, and we need to give that the props that it deserves. So for you, what is it about managing that really excites you, that really drives you to continue to do what you're doing, especially in OVW today?
Absolutely. And I think that it's important. I think that it's important to state that managing is something that I feel like people they don't give it the love that it deserves. I mean, I really feel like that it plays such an intricate role in professional wrestling when it's done right. And I think that the important things of being a manager is doing just that. You're hyping up your client. You're hyping up your client, and you're letting them know, you're letting the audience, you're letting the crowd know, this guy is everything. This gal is everything. This whoever, they're everything. This is who you need to be paying attention to right here. And the only way that you can do that, at least for me, is my personality is very big. I'm very big. Soon as I walk into a room, you're going to know it. So because of that fact, I can take that energy and transfer this energy to this person right here, this client. I want you to know how big they are. I want you to know how if I'm talking them up, and I have this confidence in my voice, you got to know that this is somebody that you need to take seriously. And I think that it's a role that has not, once again, like I said, has not been given the respect it deserves, because in a lot of these promotions, it's just like, hey, go out there and step through the curtain with this person. And there's no thought behind it. There's no psychology behind it. It's just somebody out there. And this is mainly in the indies. It's just somebody standing out there, you know, they're literally just standing out there. But how is them standing out there continuing to tell the story in this match, in this moment, at this time? And that's where I try to come in and use that energy to not only bring attention to myself, but bring attention to my clients. And at the same time, try to weave in stories like I'm trying to do at places like Emerge Wrestling, where I have my group, The Set, and we're starting to travel to different places and do different things. But mainly a lot of stories are being told there, because that's what I want to do. Is I want to be a storyteller as a manager. I want to get my clients over and give them that energy, but I also want to tell an amazing story, because I'm there for my client, but I'm also there to show the fans who I am and who they are, and make them mad, because that's one of my favorite things to do, is make them mad.
I love it. And I love the fact that you gave a real good key buzzword, storytelling, because essentially that's what it's all about. We have the athleticism in the ring and we have the showmanship, but it all boils down to what story are you telling, and the feelings that you are, you know, allowing to have fans experience. Or maybe I shouldn't say allowing, maybe that's not the right word, but the experiences that the fans are having when they see you, and the feelings that they're getting, whether you're a heel or whether you're a face, you're doing something right if you're eliciting those responses and you're eliciting excitement from the fans and some kind of reaction. So the first time that you stepped into the ring, or you were on television and you garnered those responses from fans, whether it was cheers or boos, what did that feel like for you to see that response and to see the reactions that people were having to you?
It took me a while to really be in that moment, because first starting out, I'm like, I want to make sure I'm hitting all my points. I want to make sure I want to make sure I'm doing a good job. So like, I'm more focused on what I'm doing than what the fans are doing. But that was at first. That was before I got really comfortable in what I'm doing and playing the role that I'm playing. So when I go to a show, and it's nice, because I can say that I've done it somewhere other than just my hometown. I mean, I've done it in Kentucky, I've done it in Tennessee, I've done it in Vegas, and the reception has been pretty much the same. And so to answer your question is, when I get that reception, when I get, because it's mainly hate. I am a heel. I mean, and I embrace it. I love the role so much. Mm-hmm. And when I get that heat, I'm like, yes, got him. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's what I'm going for. I mean, I have literally, in Tennessee, I've had old ladies wanting to jump me ringside, just wanting to beat me up. And I'm like, hey, you better stay there, grandma. You don't want none of this. You know? So it's a good feeling to know that not only am I here, that I've arrived as a manager, and people are like, okay, he's here, he's a manager, but now being effective in that role and being able to get the responses that I'm going for, whether it's cheers, whether it's boos, and just being able to contribute to the show and make the show that much better, at least in the role that I'm playing.
We love to hear it. We love to see that. And you're certainly doing such in OVW right now, a storied promotion, a promotion where so many icons in wrestling have come from, and a promotion that's still building icons as we're seeing current day. We have Layla Gray, you know, part of the baddies on AEW. We have Luke Curtis. Now we also have you, Hollywood House, an up and coming rising star, but doing your thing as a manager. What has that experience been like for you to be a part of OVW and to be a part of the history and really honing your chops in the promotion as we're seeing right now?
The interesting thing about doing OVW is the fact that you walk in there and you walk in that locker room, and like you said, it's such a storied promotion. And you see it right off the bat as soon as you walk in there. You see all the pictures there. You see everybody from past and where and what they've gone on to do. You know, doing what, having the opportunity to debut at OVW and having that platform to be able to come back is really important to me, because it lets me know that what I'm doing is working. You know, it lets me know that what I'm doing belongs to professional wrestling. And I know that anytime that I'm able to pull up at OVW, that I'm going to be given something and an opportunity and a platform to be seen more, to be on that other level, to be on that upper echelon, because I enjoy everything that I've done in every promotion. Right now, I consider myself really to be more like a journeyman, as somewhere that can be seen on OVW, can be seen on Emerge, can be seen in different states. And I want that because at some point, there's going to be eyes that are going to say, hey, this guy can work anywhere. This guy can go to any state and get that type of reaction that we're wanting to do. But also, I want them to know that I can be a part of a locker room like OVW and understand where I'm at, understand the role that I play, and understand that I'm a part of something special. And that understanding that can open up the doors to going more places and doing something even more special. So I'm just happy to have the opportunity and the platform to be able to say that I've been seen on OVW TV, and that more eyes have been on me and my faction and the talents that I'm looking to highlight, such as Sam Knight, such as Paragon, such as up and coming star. Her name is Haven Harris, Mr. Broadway, Kindle Fire. These are young stars that my role as a manager, and I feel like that the role nowadays in 2022 is transcending. And I'm sorry to prattle on. I'm just trying to really get you to understand the role of the manager and how I feel it is in today's age. And that is somebody who not only just steps through the curtain with you, but I help these talents with editing their promo videos. I help them with merch ideas. I help them with graphics and things of that nature. I just feel like that it's a role that I take very seriously. And I like I said, I study Bobby Heenan. I watch a lot of Bobby Heenan interviews, and he said one thing that he never wanted to do was be a talent shoot manager. And when I say that, I say deal with their everyday, real life, day to day. But I don't feel like I do that. I feel like what I do helps their brand. I feel like what I do helps get them seen. And if I always said that if I would ever get an opportunity, because it's been a long time getting here for me, to just be here right now. That's why I'm enjoying just this moment right now. Me and you having this conversation. I'm enjoying this moment right now because it took a long time to get here. And I always said that if I was ever in a position of prominence where I can give back to somebody that needed opportunities, I was going to do it because I want to be that beacon that I never had.
I really enjoy the fact that you mention the role, the behind the scenes role that you play, not just in propping up your clients and propping up the wrestlers that you work with on an aesthetic level for the storyline, for the storytelling, but actually helping them in an A&R type of way is what it sounds like, but also as a talent manager, because that's what talent managers outside of wrestling, they do this. And also within wrestling, if there's any talent that has a manager that has a stable of clients. But I think what you said is really interesting because it's not something that I've personally heard much and heard other managers doing. But that's not to say that there isn't value in that. I think there's something that you're doing that's really important because, as you stated, some people just don't have that help, and you kind of have to learn how to do it on your own as you go forth in this business. And if you're lucky enough to have a group or to have at least one person to guide you, that's a huge blessing. So what you're doing sounds extremely important, and I'm sure the wrestlers that you're working with appreciate that. They're grateful for that.
And I'm happy to do it. I really am. I'm a firm believer that it takes a village, you know, and in order to lift somebody up, it takes a group. It takes everybody understanding, like, hey, yeah, here's the table, and yeah, I'm eating, but I want you to eat too. I don't ever want it to be a thing where it's like, I don't ever want my success to be because I stepped on somebody else. I always feel like I want to be somebody that is iron sharpening iron. And I look at myself, the role that I play is like, I don't know if you're familiar with any basketball, but a Jason Kidd, John Stockton, point guard type of role. Or I'm like, hey, here's the ball. I'm giving you the assist. Now it's time for you to do something with it. You know, and that's very much the role that I play as a professional wrestling manager on screen and behind the scenes. And I'm very proud of the work that I've done because, like you said, it's not something that a lot of people out there are doing, or a lot of managers take on that type of responsibility. But for me, it's me, in my eyes, revolutionizing the role. Is being a little bit more than just what you see on screen. I don't just want to help these talents get over on screen. I want to help them behind the scenes too, and help them grow and help them be better. And they, in this local scene, they call me Uncle Khan because I'm playing that uncle role, and I'm embracing that uncle role, and I'm happy to be in that role to help these younger talents get seen and help them maneuver through the business in any way that I can.
You're wearing that cap for a reason. I noticed it says director on the cap, and everything that you're saying just aligns with that whole vibe and what you're exposing in terms of just helping talent and helping them see how they can be great, which is awesome. So having said that, we got to talk about Household Productions, which I love the name. I love the nod to it. Just sounds Hollywood to me. Everything is just very much, you know, filmic in that way. So how did that faction come to be? And also talk to us. You mentioned a lot of names, some I'm familiar with and some I'm not, but how did you all come together in order to build what you have right now?
So you mentioned that it's very filmy and like it does have that vibe because, like I mentioned earlier, I'm from Hollywood. I'm from the Los Angeles area, and I came up. My father, he was a security guard on Hollywood sets, so you know I'd spend time there. And my brother, Alan One, he's also a director and filmmaker and actor, independent films, and so he really gave me the idea for the director Hollywood House character because of his love for the Hollywood culture, his love for all things LA. And like, I'm proud to be there myself. I'm proud to be from there myself because it does have a vibe. It does have a culture. So that's why I kind of took the whole Household Productions thing and ran with it. And the faction is something that I'm really proud of just because for me, it was always supposed to be something like Death Row Records or Def Jam or Rockefeller Records. It's supposed to be it was always supposed to be like, this is a record label of talented people who just happen to wrestle. They wrestle. They're like Paragon. He's a phenomenal singer, great singer. In real life, I mean, the boy can sing. And then Mr. Broadway, Kendall Fire. He loves all things musical theater, and I really vibe with his character. So good. It's almost like an East Coast, West Coast thing with him, with me and him, because he does the Broadway thing, I do the Hollywood thing, but still we come together and make it make sense. Household Productions came together really started off with me and Sam Knight, and he's kind of the enforcer of our faction. And we call ourselves the Set. We have Household Productions as the label, but also the group is also known as the Set. And he's kind of our enforcer. 17-year veteran. He's wrestled in OVW, done some extra work for WWE, and he's just somebody who is. He's the same age as me, but he's 17 years in, and he's great at what he does. He knows so many people. And one of the great things about Sam is the fact that he's always looking out for the younger talent. He's something and somebody that I feel like sometimes doesn't really get the nod that he deserves for what he does do for the business, because that, as long as I've known that man, he's always done right by the young talent. And that's what I try to do. I just want to be a part of these young talents' journeys. You know, I've been in locker rooms with people that have done AEW Dark and done NWA and OVW and Impact Wrestling and MLW. And that's a really cool vibe. That's a really cool experience. Now that I've been doing this for a while, and I think Sam agrees too, it's time for us to take these talents that come behind us and give them that type of opportunity to be seen and have an understanding and knowing of the business, because it's easy to get lost in this business. It's easy to get lost and fall in with the wrong people that are not looking out for your best interest. And that is what Household Productions is really supposed to be based on in real life. But as a faction, it's really different, because we do some terrible things. We have done awful things and we enjoy it. And I mean, we've put guys in the trunk in Las Vegas, throw them in the trunk, drive off with them gone. We've done that before. And really, we're just a bunch of hungry go-getters that it's supposed to be like for lack of a better word, it's a black mafia. It's a black mafia. It's a family. It's a brotherhood. It's a coalition. Myself, Sam Knight, our enforcer, Paragon, our young buck, our young strapping buck. I call him our rock. He's our rock. And then you have off script. You have Kendall Fire and Haven Harris. And Haven Harris is our first lady of the group. She's our little sister. She's the little sister we look out for. But she has this fire. And Haven Harris is somebody that I feel like the wrestling world seriously needs to be looking out for, because she's doing great things. She's based out of Chicago, and she's trained with Sky Blue, who just recently signed with AEW. And Haven's going to do amazing things. And I'm super happy to have what she brings and the element that she brings to Household Productions, to the Set, because I want all of professional wrestling to be highlighted. And me personally, I love women's wrestling. I love it. So to be able to work with her is very special to me.
Wow. It's so many names, so much love, so much passion for the business. It's clear that you were made to do this and that you are, in fact, living out a dream. And a lot of what, as you were talking, and I'm really absorbing everything immediately, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, all the dream matches that could possibly take place within a lot of these big promotions. If you were to take Household Productions, say, to WWE, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it could be Household Productions versus Hit Row, Household versus this faction, that faction, and different promotions. What or where do you see your future going? What are your dreams past what you're doing now, and where do you hope to take yourself and Household Productions going into 2023, 2024 and beyond?
Right now, I consider myself to be a very fortunate and blessed man to have done what I've done. That being said, I want more. I want more. I want to do more. I want to be able to say that I've done more. And if that opportunity takes me to WWE, that's not something that I would say no to. I mean, I would most definitely take that opportunity if they ever wanted me, my faction, and what we bring to the table, and what we're building, and what we're growing as a faction that I'm seeing unfold in front of me. I would definitely go there. A goal for me right now, a short-term goal that I really want to get to. I want to go to the National Wrestling Alliance. I want to go to the NWA. I want to take that next step and be a part of the oldest and most storied professional wrestling franchise that's out there, and that's the NWA. And I really feel like that's a level that I can get to, and I feel like that's a level that can utilize a talent such as the director, Hollywood House, and everything that I bring to the table as a talent.
And NWA uses managers so well, and we're seeing fantastic work, and they really understand. You can tell they understand the importance of the manager and building up the managerial skills and having those amazing factions. So that sounds like that would be a perfect fit for you. And the fact that you already envision that and you have that in your foresight, you know, you're smart. You're smart. You're doing what you have to do. So kudos to you, Hollywood House. You know, another question that I have for you is, in terms of the process of becoming a manager and really making a stake as a manager in this business, is there any advice that you have for prospective managers? Because we're starting to see more. And I think this is a job role in the industry that is laden with such mystery. Some people don't know how they can even become a manager in wrestling, how to get started, what they have to look out for. I mean, what's your advice for those persons that are thinking of perhaps doing exactly what you're doing?
Have patience. Have patience. Because, and the reason that I say that is because if you want to be a manager, you have to understand that, yes, to a certain extent, this is about you. But past that, if you don't understand that your role is to highlight the talent and you're thinking that it's all about you jumping in front of a camera, you are looking at the wrong craft. You need to understand that what you do in your role is to get over the person that you are choosing to or being assigned to manage. So if you can't understand that core value, that core understanding of what a manager is supposed to be, this might not be for you. Another thing that I can say is that to be a manager, especially what I've learned in the last year, is when you're building a faction, is not only are you a manager, but you're also a psychologist as well, you know, because they're going to come to you. The talents are going to come to you with concerns and things that they're not going to be happy about. And you just have to learn how to take that in and listen and understand, because one good thing that I understand is that anybody that I've had the opportunity to manage is that I don't just want to manage you and be like, hey, well, we're just thrown together. This is what's happening. I want to understand you. I want to understand who you are as a person so I can understand who you are in the ring. So I think that when I say patience, it really reigns true, because you have to understand who this person is. You have to understand the role that you're going to play for this person. And you have to understand that you have to play the role and you cannot make it all about you. And I think that if you can understand that you can be big, but you have to transfer that energy. I don't know if you remember that meme of Will Smith to Jada Pinkett Smith. Hey, here she is. You know, that's what you're doing as a manager. You're being really big and you're transferring that energy to your client. So my advice to anybody that wants to get into management and wants to understand management is that you're going to be backstage with them. You're going to need to understand your role. You're going to need to understand your spots. When I'm back there, and I'm not trying to pull back the curtain too much, but when everybody is trying to understand what they're doing, I'm right there with them, paying attention. So you need to pay attention. Pay attention, see what you're doing, know your role, make your client feel big, and most importantly, be patient.
Be patient. I mean, I think we can end it on that note because that just sounded seamless to me. And I think that's also an important factor and something to really take note of in this business. A lot of people have stuck out in this business and have been working for years before catching their big break. And then others, it happens in an opposite direction. But no matter what, the key is to stay patient, hard work, have a vision, and just stay in pursuit of your goals, which is exactly what you've been doing, Hollywood Howse. So we salute you here at PWI. And thank you so much for coming out for this series. It's a pleasure to meet up and coming talent and talent that just is on the rise, knows exactly what they're doing, where they're going. And we can't wait to see what happens next in your career.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for having me on this platform. And if I just take a minute to kind of plug where people can find me at and everything, just in case. My name is the director, Hollywood Howse. I am the CEO of Household Productions, and I'm the director of The Set. You can find anything that I'm doing at Hollywood Howse. That is on Twitter, that is on Facebook, and it's at The Hollywood Howse on Instagram. Also, I host a podcast. It is called In Your Howse. Go ahead and check that out. It is on all major podcasting platforms. Right now, we're really looking good. We're charted here in the U.S. where 5-star podcasts have been going since February of 2019. And we talk about all things professional wrestling. That is the indies. That is the mainstream. Nothing is off limits. We talk about it all at In Your Howse. And that's In Your Howse on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and IG. In Your Howse, that's HOWSE. Also, please go check out the other podcast that I produce, and that is the NWA's Pope, Elijah Burke, as he has a really crazy relationship with the manager of champions. That's NWA and GCW's, also seen on Effie's Big Gay Brunch, and that is Pollo Del Mar. And that's the Pope's Point of View, Saturday, 9:05 a.m. And that is on all major podcasting platforms. Candace, thank you so much for this opportunity to come and speak to you on the FaceTurn with PWI. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Hollywood. That was fantastic. You are clearly amazing at what you do. So everyone, please check out Hollywood Howse on all major social media platforms. I mean, why did I even say major? All social media platforms. They're all major. So check him out everywhere you can. Watch OVW and support. Check out his podcast. Stay tuned for what's going to happen with Hollywood Howse and Household Productions, because it sounds like they're going to be doing some major things going from now until the end of time. So just be supportive, check out everything, and don't forget to check out more episodes here at FaceTurn with Candace Cordelia. Go to our PWI YouTube channel, click on the link, subscribe, like, send us your comments. Let us know who you'd like to have us interview here on FaceTurn. We will take all of those suggestions and more. And thank you, as always, for watching this episode of our Wrestling Managers series here at FaceTurn with Hollywood Howse. Stay tuned for more. And until then, enjoy the wrestling. See you soon.